the General Assembly adopts 6 resolutions on a question of Palestine and the situation in the Middle East. The General Assembly today adopted 6 resolutions on Palestine and Middle East issues, ranging from Jerusalem to the United Nations Special Information Program on the question of Palestine. Here it is. The General Assembly adopted a resolution of a peaceful settlement of the question of Palestine. Document A/71/L.21. By a recorded vote of 153 to 7. 153 nations to 7. The 7 nations who voted against this was Canada, Micronesia, Israel, the Marshall Islands, Nauru, Palau, and the United States. There were 7 countries that abstained and wouldn't vote at all. They were Australia, Cameroon, Honduras, Papua New Guinea, Paraguay, Tonga, and Vanuatu. By the terms of this vote, 153 to 7, this resolution passed. The Assembly calls for the intensification of efforts by the parties, including through negotiations with the support of the international community, towards the conclusion of the final peace settlement. In other words, the UN has said, we're going to finish this. We voted, we're going to finish this. Now, Israel, you and Palestine can negotiate, but it's not going to be with just John Kerry in the room with you. But it's a mandate by the entire UN, the United Nations. And if you can't fix it, we'll fix it for you. That's what they just passed. Now wait, that's not all they passed. The Assembly also adopted a resolution on Jerusalem. And remember, this is the 50th year of the liberation of the city of the great king. And I was in Knesset in November, meeting with Yehuda Glick, a member of the Knesset, of course, the leading rabbi. And I told him, I said, hey, in France right now, 20 countries are drafting a resolution to forcibly call for a 2-state solution. And he angrily slammed the table and said, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear of a 2-state solution. There'll never be one. Well, now the United Nations had just voted, yes, there's going to be one. You can come along quietly or forcibly, but the UN is going to force this one way or the other. This is what just passed yesterday, folks. Yesterday, folks. Yesterday. But wait, there's more. As it relates to Jerusalem, the Assembly also adopted a resolution on Jerusalem by a record vote of 149 to 7. Those 7 countries that voted against it are the exact same 7 in the last one. And 8 countries voted against dividing Jerusalem. And they're the same as the others, except one new one. Guatemala jumped in this one. So by its terms, the Assembly reiterated its determination that any action taken by Israel, the occupying power, that's the exact words they call Israel. They're calling Israel, Jerusalem is the capital of Israel. Okay, come on. They're saying, no. They're saying the General Assembly reiterates its determination that any actions taken by Israel, the occupying power, to impose its laws, its jurisdiction, and administration on the holy city of Jerusalem were illegal. So, in other words, they just said all law and order in Jerusalem is illegal, that the Israelis are no longer in charge. It's illegal, they said, and therefore null and void, and had no validity whatsoever. I'm reading it. and called upon Israel to immediately cease all such illegal and unilateral measures. The assembly also stressed that the comprehensive, just, and lasting solution to the question of the city of Jerusalem should take into account the legitimate concerns by both the Palestinians and the Israeli sides. The UN just voted that Israel has no jurisdiction over the entire city of Jerusalem. And they also voted by a vote of 153-7 that there's going to be a two-state solution with you or without you, Israel. It's exactly what I told Yehuda Glick in November that they were drafting. The French were drafting it. And that 20 nations were gathered there. And he slammed the desk. And I was in his office. I don't want to hear about it. There'll never be. It's two-state solution is dead, he said. And you can watch it on YouTube. I put it on YouTube. And there's also the television interviews on there on YouTube. But there's another special YouTube video I put out there where he actually makes those statements very strong. And I have a witness also, besides it being on tape, and that was Stephen Ben-Danoon was on the cameras in the Knesset. Now, wait a minute. Let me tell you what else. They passed another resolution, folks. Here it is. By the terms of a resolution on the Golan, the Syrian Golan Heights. They call it the Syrian Golan Heights. Document A/71/L.8. The Assembly demanded that Israel withdraw from all the occupied territory to the line of June the 4th, 1967, and called on all parties concerned to exert the necessary efforts to ensure the resumption of the peace process. This resolution received 103 votes for it. Only 6 nations voted against it. They were Canada, Micronesia, Israel, the Marshall Islands, Palau, and the United States of America. There were 56 nations that didn't vote at all. We're not going to name them all. So the vote was 103-6. So what they just did was they voted, Israel, you need to pull out of the Golan Heights. It belongs to Syria. And then what else did they vote? They voted, Israel, you no longer have any jurisdiction laws. We declare them null and void. That you're the occupying power, and you're imposing your laws and jurisdictions and administration on the holy city of Jerusalem. It's illegal. Therefore, null and void. This is the voting of the United Nations yesterday. Did anybody last night talk about it on any talking heads? Did Chris Matthews? Did Rachel Maddow? How about Megyn Kelly? Did even Sean Hannity? I mean, did anybody? Did Bill O'Reilly? Did anybody? It wasn't even on the ticker tape, folks. This is huge. They've said, Israel, you don't have any jurisdiction over the city of Jerusalem. It's null and void. You're the occupying power. They've said, Israel, you need to withdraw from the Golan Heights and give it back to Syria. And they've said, Israel, you and Palestinians are going to figure out a two-state solution, or we're going to figure it out for you. That's what the United Nations voted on last night. That's what they voted on yesterday. That is what they voted. It is a document. It is in, and this is exactly what Benjamin Netanyahu was begging President Obama. Don't let them draft this. Don't let the UN go here. Let Donald Trump get in office. Let us look at a different way of working out a peace agreement with the Palestinians. We couldn't do it with Hillary. We couldn't do it with John Kerry. I'm willing to look at this, but we can't deal with the UN forcing it. But Obama, now look, America voted against this. Thank God. So did Canada. Thank God. But Obama could have even prevented us from even coming to the floor until Trump was in office. He could have done that. He could have prevented it. He didn't. He let it happen. We voted no, but he knew what the vote was going to be. We voted no, but he allowed the vote to happen. This is what I'm trying to say. They all 5 members of the Security Council allowed the vote to happen. And then we voted no, as if to be innocent here. But the 5 permanent members of the Security Council let the vote happen. This is what Netanyahu was begging. He knew the Russians was going to let it happen. He knew that China was going to let it happen. He knew the French were going to let it happen because the French are the ones that drafted it in June with 20 other nations when I was sitting in the Knesset with Yehuda Glick. And he's pounding the desk, no. And I said, don't you understand they're there? No, I don't want to hear about it. And so it was down to the Great Britain and the United States, and Britain said, we're going to let the vote go. That put it squarely into one corner. Barack Hussein Obama, the 44th president of the United States of America. He could have ordered Samantha Power to veto and not allow this resolution to come to the floor of the United Nations, but he did not. They let it slide. They let it in. Netanyahu was on the phone begging, calling, saying, don't let this, Obama, please, don't do that. Let Trump get in office. Let us look at a way to work us through a different direction. Don't let this vote happen. But Obama let it happen. Obama let it happen. Obama let it happen. And they voted to part the land. And one way or the other, they have made the resolution. Now, Israel can negotiate and try to work out something, but they're in a tougher position because now they have the weight of the world on them. It's Zachariah 2. Let's go back and read it. Can I stay with me here for a minute? You've got to listen to what I'm telling you. This is 1947, 1948. In 1947, it was on November the 29th. Oh, by the way, I want to tell you one more thing. Guess whose flag was flying outside the UN? The Palestinian flag was on the pole yesterday. So in November the 29th, 1947, the UN voted that Israel was going to become a state and allowed their flag to fly. 1947. And now, almost to the day, on November 30th, the Palestinian flag is flying out there. Israel became a nation in May 14th, 1948. Will Palestine become a nation this coming May? With Israel or without them? Folks, they voted that Israel has no jurisdiction over the city of Jerusalem. They're saying that they are the occupying power, and they're saying that their power over Jerusalem, I'll read it to you. They voted, the assembly reiterates its determination that any actions taken by Israel, the occupying power, to impose its laws, jurisdiction, and administration on the holy city of Jerusalem were illegal and therefore null and void and have no validity whatsoever. And they call upon Israel to immediately cease all such illegal unilateral measures. And then they demand that Israel withdraw from the occupied territory of the Golan Heights. They call it the Syrian Golan. And they demand Israel to withdraw all troops from the Golan Heights and go back to the line of June the 4th, 1967. It's right here. I'm going to see if you can see it. I want you to see it. This is the UN. There it is. The Syrian Golan. And they demand the occupied territory to the line to the 4th of June, 1967. It's null and void. And the media is not even talking about this because the whole world's coming against Israel. Zachariah chapter 2. Here's what it says before we take the break. Zechariah 2, 2 verses. I know I'm sounding like I'm passionate. Some people may say I'm being a little bit dramatic. You have to hear me what I'm telling you. Here's what the prophet Zechariah said would happen. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations, which spoil you. Talking to Israel, they spoil you, Israel. For he that touches you toucheth the apple of his eye. For behold, I will shake my hand upon them, and they shall be a spoil to their servants. And ye shall know that the Lord of hosts has sent me. I'll be right back. I've got still a whole lot to cover. I've taken a lot of time on this, but I had to. It's a prophecy alert. It's a milestone moment. It is Zechariah chapter 2 being fulfilled before your very eyes.
The coming apocalypse.